All right, I want to do a quick video on going over the property's address. So lately we've had a lot of people ask, what's the address? I want to go look at it, or what's the address of the property? In most cases, raw land's not going to have an address unless there's already power on the property. So what you have to use is the APN number, which is, if you ever look at the property spec sheets that we send out, it's going to have the APN. The APN is essentially like an address for the raw land. That's how the county identifies it. That's how you find it in the county records. It's essentially the address for the property. So if you look over here on this spec sheet that we send out, it's going to have the assessor's parcel number. Some counties, it's just put APN or AIN, which is assessor's identification number. It's essentially the same thing. Some counties longer, some counties are shorter. Sometimes it's going to have letters. It all kind of depends on the county. So for this particular county in Castilla, it's simple, just letters. LA County, it's a AIN, and it can have letters sometimes, but most of the time it's just going to be numbers as well. The way that you can find this is you can call the county and essentially ask who owns the property. So if you want to know who owns the property, all of our properties are held by either the Level Up Sourcing, our business, or in my personal name. So if you have any doubts of who owns the property, this is why we send all this info to you, so that you can verify and you don't have any doubts about who owns the property. So you can take this AIN or APN and call the county, which would give you the info on the very bottom of this sheet. And you can call the assessor up and say, hey, who owns APN number, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll tell you. So that's a good way that you wouldn't be able to get scammed if you can verify that we are the owner, or whoever you're buying from is the owner, if you don't want to deal with me. So that's kind of the first little bit of a tip to verify the ownership. Now, sometimes our properties are moving pretty quick, so they don't even get into the assessor's records. So if the assessor has something different and you come back and say, hey, the assessor said that it's George Washington's property, that's who they have on file, and most likely I'll say, well, I actually bought it from George Washington 2 days ago, so it hasn't got over to there yet. So where it starts is in the recorder. So what we would do in that situation is, when a recorder stamps a new title, it's going to have a number on it. So that number is how they identify the record. So if it's not in the assessor's records, and it's not in the recorder's records, then you want to run for the hills. But if it just hasn't gotten over to the assessor yet, we can verify that the owner is who they are using that title. So you can say, can I get a copy of the current title, or what is the title number or the recorder number, depending on the county, and we can provide that information. Then you can call the recorder and verify that the title is in fact real. So that's just a couple ways of verifying ownership, and also verifying that the property is actually in the records. It's not going to have the address, you use the AIN, or the APN. So the APN is kind of the magical address here, and then to verify the ownership, you can kind of go from there. So it's kind of just a quick tip that we wanted to go over to help you guys out when you're buying your property, and we hope to hear from you guys soon. Thank you.